You are number one.
Yeah, well.
You are number one.
I'm gonna take a second. Before these guys actually. She's babysitting Bailey. She's gonna order DoorDash. So that's a no. Actually, Steph would have probably said, why aren't you having DoorDash and babysitting Bailey? Sorry? Does she work all day? No. No, she's part of a crew for afternoon or something. So, does she have a meeting in the morning? I have no idea. You can ask her tonight when she'll be up and get home. Got something you want to do? I know you has to be the praise to come. I was thinking the fact that here.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm so glad to see
Glad to be here.
you. Let me introduce you to my husband. Oh, wonderful. This is my husband, Scott Sneed. This is Taryn Turner. She's the incoming
welcome.
assistant. They're two. Yes,
Yeah.
There comes a
So,
point where you gotta have it, because
yes.
you're thinking so much.
Yeah, well, just for the basics. So we're done. So. Because a couple of them. Yeah, I do a lot of proofreading. Yeah, I do a lot of. Helping with discovery. It's good. Yeah, me too. My hubby, okay. Yeah, so they're kind of in the middle of the luxury thing for Father's Day. She'll be back. St. Paul. St. Paul. Okay. So she'll be back. It's funny when you get to a certain age and her son's and she's like, really? That's so big. So I think she likes her. She loves us, but
Yes, it will be. I'm reading my little roast, so you already covered some things on it.
Oh, good, all right, perfect.
She wanted to stay. Originally, I was entertained, but actually.
yeah.
I'm gonna try to push it off until August, but. We have a little bit of all too.
Okay. Yeah, no, so my sister is in classes this week, and so they'll probably come. It gives her time to get her classes, yeah. Nice. That sounds fun. Yeah, the baker, yeah. Yeah, oh, cool. I had that. My previous, when I worked at Prairie, for me, when they wrapped all these pictures and signed it. Don't think so. I love adult kids. did it all, and then I asked Jen to leave.
How are you?
Just. Yeah. Now do you say shut it down and do a restart? No, system's not working. Do you want me to?
It does, so I just tried to stop it.
It'll still be a few minutes before we get started, but if anybody's here who needs to comment, you could head to the back to sign up before the meeting is called to order. The mic system is not working at the moment, so we'll just try to speak loudly.
Great.
It is 6:13 and I'm calling the meeting to order. All board members are present except McFarland. The notice was perfect. The notice of the meeting was published in the June 19th, 2026 issue of the Star and was distributed to the Sun Prairie Media Center and correspondence with Wisconsin State Journal and Capital Times newspapers. The revised notices to be posted on June 2026. Motion to, there we go, okay, to approve the agenda. Motion to move 4.03 into matters reserved for board action.
Could you also add 4.01 to that as well? Do you accept that?
Yes. So 4.01 and 4.03. So the revisions, district policy, and the okay. Second. So, motion by Stephen, second by Grayson. We'll do a roll call. No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Sun Prairie Area School District is to inspire and prepare every child every day by providing relevant, engaging, and innovative learning experiences in and out of the classroom. The Sun Prairie Area School District celebrates and values our diverse community. We support and are inclusive of all students, staff, families, and community members of all races, ethnicities, faiths, national origins, home languages, socioeconomic status, immigration status, political viewpoints, abilities, sexual orientations, and gender identities.
In order to realize our mission, we are committed to changing the foundational inequities that we acknowledge exist in our system, and we unequivocally state as follows. We stand by our Black and Brown students, staff, and families. We will continue to speak and act swiftly against statements of bigotry, social injustice, discrimination, racism, and hate that may plague members of our community. We are committed to developing and implementing strategies and best practices that dismantle racism, bigotry, and ethnic oppression within all aspects of our schools and school district.
We stand by our immigrant students, staff, and families. All are welcome and safe in our schools, regardless of immigration status.
We stand by our students, staff, and families with disabilities. We will continue to staunchly protect the rights of people of all abilities and create educational environments in which all educators collaborate for high educational outcomes for all students.
We stand by our LGBTQIA+ students, staff, and families. We take seriously our responsibility to provide safe, non-discriminatory, and inclusive environments for people of all orientations and identities as they reflect our diverse community.
We stand by our students, staff, and families of lower socioeconomic status. We will do all we can to meet the nutritional, physical, and emotional needs of all students regardless of their economic status. All children will be safe and loved in our schools, every child, every day.
Okay, and moving on to public comments. The board appreciates your feedback and values the opportunity to further our collaborative partnership with the community through the productive and respectful exchange of ideas, concerns, perspectives, and experiences. Your public comments empower the board to make more informed decisions and authentically represent our constituents. While we are not able to respond immediately due to the Wisconsin Open Meetings Law, please know that our governance officer is tracking common themes and issues that arise during public comments. This will help us identify issues that need immediate attention and also make plans to address areas that need further discussion in the future. In alignment with our district's core values, we ask that all participants help us ensure this remains a welcoming environment in which all students, staff, parents, and caregivers, and community members are valued and treated with respect and dignity. A few reminders. The public comment period portion of our board meeting is governed by Board Procedure 8, which is available on our website, and a copy found by our intent to speak forms at the back of the room. Speakers must be a resident of the district, a staff member of the district, a student in the district, or a parent caregiver of a student who is enrolled in the district. Each speaker has up to 3 minutes to speak, with the public comment period lasting no more than 30 minutes total. If you have complaints or concerns about school personnel, we ask that you submit these complaints via District Policy and Procedures BDDI. I will now recognize speakers in the order in which they registered. When you come up, please state your name and your relation to the district, and we will start your time. So first up, we have Shandu Murray. Practice number 2 now.
My name is Shandu Vamori, and I live at 1873 Waverly Way in Sun Prairie. I come to you tonight as a child of immigrants who arrived in this country 52 years ago, as the parent of 2 Sun Prairie graduates, one who attended this district for 18 years, as an aunt to students still in your classrooms, a resident, a taxpayer, and a retiree who spent 20 years inside the system. When my oldest daughter started kindergarten, there were only a handful of children of Indian origin in this district. Today, my native language, Telugu, is the 4th most spoken language here. This shift reflects the growing diversity of our community and calls on all of us to be intentional in how we support the students we serve. I spent 8 years at Bird Elementary, go Blue Jays, and 12 years in the office of the superintendent under Drs. Culver and Sarin. I had the privilege of being, as the musical says, in the room where it happened, in conference rooms, boardrooms, closed sessions, and unfortunately expulsion hearings, where decisions were never simple and the weight of them did not end when the meetings did. Today, we are living in a time where grace is often in short supply and criticism is readily available. Social media amplifies reaction quicker than our reflection, and I know by speaking tonight, I may become part of that dynamic. So I say go for it, you have the right. But what I believe and what I hope for is that this community is capable of much more. Public service does demand accountability. It comes with the role. But public participation carries responsibility as well. The responsibility to be informed, to think critically, and to engage with care and intention. Because behind every decision in this room and others are individuals doing complex work under scrutiny, people who will not always get it exactly right, but who show up because the work matters. And what is that work? It's our students. The students who smile, whose first smile of the day might come from you, the students whose first meal of the weekend is one that you help provide, the students who return on Monday wearing the same clothes they left with on Friday because they spent the weekend in their car. These are not hypotheticals. These are the realities I experienced firsthand. So when our conversations move away from them, we risk losing sight of the purpose of this work, not our personal agendas, our egos, or unfortunate circumstances to advance personal interests. In less than 2 weeks, a new superintendent will step into leadership, and that transition matters, but the responsibility does not change. I truly wish him and the district the very best, for the sake of every student who attends our schools, including the youngest members of my own family. Thank you to my former colleagues at the District Support Center and to every teacher and staff member who continues to show up for students each day. Your work often goes unseen, but it does not go unvalued. And especially to Dr. Sarin, Leonard, I can have 2 seconds, and Rykoff, thank you for your leadership and on a personal note for your care and friendship to me during what was the most difficult year of my life. It has truly been an honor and joy to have done this work alongside you, and I wish you all the best in Chippewa Falls, Oregon, and in retirement. So I'll end with the hope that my words are heard as someone who has observed this work up close, who has heard all the questions, recorded all the votes, and spent more evenings with this board than with my own family. You've set the tone. When it becomes difficult, lead with integrity, treat people with respect, do what is right, even when it doesn't align with your personal agendas. In the end, that is what this work for our students will be measured by. Thank you, and thank you for giving me an extra 30 seconds.
Thank you. Up next, we have Robert Defati. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Bob Defati at 639 Birkenbein Drive here in Sun Prairie. And I would like to bring to the attention of the board of the proper use and display of the flags that are presented at the high schools up front. Approximately 7 years ago, I noticed in particular Northside Elementary School, where they had the United States flag on the same pole and the Pride flag, and then the state of Wisconsin flag. And that is not the proper way to display the flags. I'm prior military, and I take great pride in displaying the flags. And it's a far cry, that pride is a far cry from what my talk is tonight, my comments. I've been going over to Northside Elementary School, Eastside Elementary School, and again, over the last 7 years, and all the time I see that flag in between the United States flag and the state flag. And I thought, well, perhaps someone just made a mistake. Well, over the years, it was the same thing. So, and I've taken pictures of this over the years, and the last picture was in May 14th, and I elected to call someone at the district office and to explain that. And they came over and they changed it right away. But that flag, that pride flag, that everyone likes to call it, has no business being on that flagpole, because by having it there, you are promoting an idea that is highly delusional and pretending, and it should not be displayed at any school. And I went around to all the other schools and I found 4 more flags like that. And that stuff should not be displayed, or the school should not be promoting anything like that whatsoever. And by doing that, you're promoting that, like I said, that highly delusional. And I'd like to have that changed. And I found out that it was a personal preference that the principals do that. So that's a political statement, and the schools should not be promoting political statements. Thank you.
Up next, we have Tom Weber.
Good evening. I am Tom Weber at 2243 Innsbruck Drive here in Sun Prairie. A number of people to recognize at the end of this school year, including Chandu Ramuri and Teresa Wisdom here. But tonight marks the final board meeting for 3 extraordinary leaders whose impact on the Sun Prairie Area School District will be felt for many, many years to come. Dr. Brad Sarin, Dr. Stephanie Leonard, my apologies, and Dr. Nick Rykoff. I had the privilege of serving on this school board for 12 years, including 6 years as board president. And I had a front row seat to much of their fine work. And while the community often sees just the outcomes, the new schools, the academic achievements, the programs, the referendums, the budgets, the recognitions, what's not always visible is the leadership that made those things possible. Together, Brad, Steph, Nick helped guide Sun Prairie through one of the most significant periods of growth and change in our district's history. They helped our community navigate rapid enrollment growth, demographic change, new schools, boundary transitions, the global pandemic, safety challenges, and countless other opportunities and obstacles along the way. If you don't believe me about the incredible progress this district's made in the last 10-ish years that they've been here, look back at where we were and how far we've truly come. But what's always impressed me most is not what they built, but it's how they led. They led with professionalism, they led with integrity, they led with a deep commitment to students, and they led with heart. They never lost sight of the fact that every decision ultimately affected the lives of children, families, and staff members. Brad brought a vision and a relentless focus on what was possible for students in our community. Steph brought clarity, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to teaching and learning. And Nick brought thoughtful leadership, stability, and an ability to turn complex challenges into practical solutions. Together, they complemented one another in a way that made the entire organization stronger. Public education is ultimately a people business. Buildings age, programs evolve, leaders come and go. But what endures are the lives touched, the opportunities created, and the foundation laid for those that follow. You can be critical because none of us is perfect, but the district that exists today is stronger because of their service. Thousands of students are better prepared for their futures because of their work. And the countless staff members, families, and community members have benefited from their leadership, whether they realize it or not. On behalf of those of us who have had the opportunity to work alongside you, thank you. Thank you for your service, your dedication, your professionalism, and your belief in the students, staff, and families of Sun Prairie. I and we wish each of you nothing but success in the next chapter of your careers and lives. The communities you're joining and will be helping are fortunate to have you, and Sun Prairie is better because you are here. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to be here and to speak to the board. Please know you can always reach out to all of us via email at schoolboard@sunpraireschools.org or set up a time to speak with us to continue to have a conversation. If you brought up a specific operational concern, you can expect a member of district administration to reach out shortly to follow up. So now we're on to the superintendent's report. Let's see. 3.01 is the school nutrition state of the plate. Nick, would you like to introduce this?
Yeah, I'll welcome Barb to come up to the table. She prepared the annual state of the plate update on school nutrition, facts and figures and activities for the last year. Barb is also one of the people that will be moving on. She's retiring at the end of this month, and so we've been really grateful for the last 4 years in the district and the last 3 in this role as director. I have always appreciated, and I hope the board members and community members have seen her yes attitude in terms of making things happen for our students and working with some of our student board reps over the years. and DPI audits and all of the things that come with the position. So we're grateful to her and for her final state of the plate report, which was a screencast in Diligent. Mark, anything else you want to say before turning it over to the board members for questions? Okay, all right, so happy to answer any questions. Barb and I both can chime in.
Would you like to start?
Did you say Colleen or Colleen?
Okay.
We probably should not have two people here, someone sitting next to each other, so it's like. Barb, thank you for the great presentation. I don't have a ton of questions, but I do want to say that my kids love their school lunches. Yeah, and they are constantly arguing. In fact, they even get breakfast after I serve them breakfast, and I get very mad at them about that, because I'm like, I've already spent money on breakfast foods for you at home. I don't need to spend money breakfast foods for you at school, but that's okay. They're boys and they eat way too much food. Yeah, I just want to thank you for your time here in the district and all your service. And I think she's the next one is Barb too, right? So we're keeping a Barb.
Yes.
It's not the same Barb, but thank you for all your time and all the dedication and all the wonderful presentations you've done during your time with our district.
Similar, thank you for the presentation. Good luck into where you are headed next, which I believe you said was retirement.
Yes, I am retiring.
Congratulations. I also have the same issue as my child gets a hot breakfast at home and then proceeds to go get breakfast at school. And I feel like you had food, but yeah. And then we end up in the lunch debt group because we weren't anticipating you were also buying breakfast, and then we're on the naughty list. Which is actually my question, and this might be a Nick question, but I saw the amount and what the lunch debt has been over like the last 3 years. How much of that do we typically get resolved? I know if your parents say like they forgot, and then some, there's not the means to pay that. So what kind of percent do we typically end up with that we can't get payment on, and then where do we pay that from?
Yeah, so Barb can maybe help me out with more specifics on how much of it we recover. So we have implemented a process where we utilize a third party to help send letters. It's not, we don't send anyone to collections, but it is a third party just to sometimes just that extra communication, just like, is a jolt like, oh yeah, I really need to take care of this, rather than just getting the same phone call from the district or the same letter. And so we utilize that third party process to do that. I'm not sure how much we truly collect, but it is significant enough that we've continued to use it. It's important to know that we have a free and reduced lunch program, right? We participate in the federal lunch program, which offers free and reduced lunch prices, and we actually give students who would qualify for reduced price lunch a free lunch. So we extend that free price to students who would technically only qualify for a reduced price. And so these lunch debts are really for families that they don't qualify for free and reduced lunch, and or they haven't filled out the paperwork, which Barb and her staff are phenomenal at getting the paperwork in front of people in a variety of different ways. Anybody who does have a negative lunch account balance, we're communicating directly to about applying for free and reduced lunch. But we also have a policy where we don't deny lunch to any students, and we don't serve alternative lunch if a student continues to come for a hot lunch and they're in negative balance. And that's due to all of the lunch shaming concerns that we have. And so that does sometimes lead to these gray area situations where a family does not qualify for free reduced lunch, but they're also not paying. And sometimes the lunch balances, the negative balances, are coming from multiple students in a family where they're not making any deposits, but they're also not qualifying. Barb, do you know about what percentage, even probably not a number, but maybe we could get that to the board sometime this week? How much is being recovered through that third party service?
Oh, through the third party service, yes. I'd say by the end of the school year, like now going forward, we're probably not going to collect much on what's outstanding now. It does go into fees, so that everyone starts with a zero balance who had a negative balance every year. But it goes into fees, and then after that, we're not involved in it anymore. But I can try and get you the information about a percentage of who pays from getting the letters.
Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, not many questions either. Just thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all your work throughout the years. Really appreciate it. I was very appreciative of the emphasis on trying food from other cultures. I thought that was really cool and neat that you guys experimented with that and introduced lots of different meals and ideas for that. I hope that my daughter will be very good at trying new foods because that's something that's really. But yeah, thank you so much for your work and emphasis on things like that. I think that's really great. So.
Thanks, sorry, I just realized I didn't fully answer Kalina's question. If I could just jump back in for a second. So Kalina did ask, where does that money come from if we don't recover it? And right now it is coming from a fund balance. So all of food service revenues and expenses are set aside in a separate fund, Fund 50. Right now, anything that we're not collecting is coming out of a Fund 50 fund balance. If we get to the point where that fund balance is exhausted, then there would have to be a transfer from Fund 10 to cover the difference. That's not ideal, where we're taking, the ideal is for food service to be self-sufficient. And so the revenues coming in from state and federal aid, plus families that are paying their lunch and breakfast costs, matches what's going out in labor, food costs, and all the other things that come out of Fund 50. But if it doesn't, then we would eventually have to look at a transfer from Fund 10, which means those are dollars that aren't being spent somewhere else. We're not at that point yet, but it is something Barb and I have been monitoring the last few years, and the next assistant superintendent and school nutrition director will have to continue to monitor. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I just like to see that there's more options going on. I remember when you guys put, you guys had Puerto Rican rice, and I tried it. It was really good. As a Puerto Rican person. So you guys know that. But anyways, thank you.
You're welcome.
Agree, Barb. I don't have any questions, but just a couple comments. I echo what everybody said, and just on a personal note, thank you for your support over the last few years of the Universal School Meals for All and the work that we've done on that. I appreciate that because I've always been proud that we are in a district that feeds kids no matter what, so that they can make sure that they have the best day that they can. So I appreciate all your help with that, and also in working to get elected officials into our buildings, which is sometimes a little bit like corralling cats, but yeah, it's always great when they can come in and serve a meal to kids. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to express gratitude, and I also sometimes get a second breakfast from school because it's just so good. And thank you to you and your team for introducing me to new things that I've never tried before. It was really good. I'm grateful to be the district where everybody's so prideful within what we're eating and putting in our bodies. So thank you so much.
Yes. Congrats on your retirement. Thanks for the presentation, as everybody has said. I wanted to highlight 68% of students reporting positive feedback on the food that they receive at school, which is a really high percentage when you're working with kids and being happy with the food that they're eating. So that's really great. And like a big increase from last year as well. So I think that's really great. I also just think some of the creative ways that you and your team have been thinking about food is awesome. I also wanted to just highlight the super salads for staff and trying to, get students involved in that process and helping with that. And then also a little extra revenue, I think is creative. And I like that you and your team are always trying to kind of think outside of the box. And then lastly, just a thank you. I know that we've done this in the past, but a thank you to Hunger Heroes and then the Prairie Masonic Lodge as well, for helping donate to settle some of those negative account balances. So mostly just a couple of shout outs there. So thank you.
Yeah, like how everyone else said, thanks for the presentation. It was really great. A lot of people mentioned getting 2 breakfasts, but I never come early enough to school, so I get 2 lunches. And I love the yogurt parfaits. I see that you added that this year, so I'm very grateful for that. My sister goes to Meadowview, and she actually became, I think, less picky of an eater with all the different like options that you guys have. So yeah, we're really grateful. Thank you.
Diana?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief because I know this format's awkward, but just again, thank you, Barb, for all of your leadership in this space. I could repeat lots of shout outs, but I don't know if anyone's mentioned salad bars yet, but how creative it was to do the hydroponic lettuce with the high school and then add them to the salad bars. It's just kind of that outside the box win-win type thinking that you brought in so many spaces throughout your work that I really appreciate it, and I wish you the very best in your next adventures.
Thank you.
Again, I don't have questions. I'll just echo all the sentiments and gratitude for the compassionate way we approach nutrition in this district is really just something to just be so grateful for. And that's all. So thank you and have a wonderful retirement.
Thanks, Barb. We appreciate you.
Okay, so let's see, 302 is the 2025 Wisconsin Act 42 cell phone policy.
Thank you. Board members, you received a copy of the slides in your email. So as our system isn't working, you can see it there. I'll bring voice to the slides so that people that don't have access to the slides are able to hear it. So Wisconsin Act 42 was passed in 2025, requiring all school districts in the state of Wisconsin to have what we're calling a cell phone policy. For a while, there was discussion about requiring all schools to say no cell phones from the first minute of school until the end of school. That they pulled back on that, and now there are a variety of options in how you can approach that. The work that you'll see in front of you tonight is really just codifying what we currently do. Our district is in a really good position because our site administrators have been thoughtful and have moved back into, I'm going to call it, an opportunity for kids to put those phones away and be more focused within class during instructional time at the high school level. And then at K-8, those phones off and away in a backpack or in their lockers. And so for us, it's just a matter of putting on paper in policy what we're currently doing, for which I'm grateful. There are some districts that aren't in that position, and so now they're having to make that difficult decision, I'll say pushed by state statute, as opposed to us saying, we're already there and we're going to codify that. So for those of you that might be newer to policy work, your school board association creates and model policies for us to use. And so as a system, we always begin by just looking at the model policy, which is of course crafted by attorneys, so it gives us a nice step forward. There were 6 sample versions of Act 42 policies in WASB. So we pulled all 6 of those policies and worked with our administration to say, of these 6, which are closest to what we're currently doing. And so policies 2 and 6 were the closest to what we're currently doing. So we have one policy, JFCK, as the policy that's coming forward to you under the superintendent's consent item, which covers K-12. We also have 2 administrative guidelines, Administrative Guideline 2 and Administrative Guideline 1. And that's because we do different approaches at the 9-12 level than we do at the K-8 level. So we needed one administrative guideline to say, here's how we do it in high school, and then another administrative guideline to say, here's how we do that K-8. So I pulled together K-8 and 9-12 administrators to review the policy. We revised it just for the little pieces that they left open for us to put in our own interpretation, sent it back to district legal counsel. So again, it's written by WASB legal counsel. Once we make any changes to it, we send it to, in this case, we sent it to Shana Lewis to review to make sure that nothing that we changed or shifted moved us out of compliance with Act 42. And just wanting to again bring forward the concept that we're just codifying our current way of being. We're not changing practice. We're just making sure it fits in policy to meet state statutes. So policy JFCK is under the superintendent's consent. And then upon approval, you'll also, the handbooks are under consent tonight. And so we'll update this information within the handbooks before those are sent out for 26-27. In general, policy JFCK begins with the time, location, and manner. So what's the time, location, and how students can use those devices. There are some definitions, and then there's a policy scope and application also in the policy. So that again is what the state says we must bring forward and codify within our policy. For students in grades K-8, so the administrative guideline 2, students in K-8. In K-8, you'll hear principals and staff say off and away all day or powered down and in lockers. So from first bell to last bell at K-8, students' cell phones are off and away. For 9-12, they are off and away during instructional time. So during an instructional block, there's the off and away. As long as it's in your backpack or perhaps in your locker and it's not seen or heard, you're just fine with that. We do allow students to access their devices during passing times and during lunch. And so that is also written that they can do that. As always, we will make exceptions for students with IEPs and 504s and special exceptions for students based on medical information that we have, because there are certain times where certain students need different access during the day. So what you see forward is the policy that will be universal and then always opportunity for exceptions. There are times in the high school where a teacher might say, it is okay to pull out your cell phone, I want you to document XYZ. So for example, in an art class, I want you to take a picture and put it into your portfolio. That is allowable as long as it is for an instructional purpose. The state statute would bring forward the concept that we can't just say, take out your phones and put out. Right, the intent is to move those. So a teacher could authorize that on exception, but that would be the exception, not the rule. So bringing this forward for your consideration tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Kalina, do you have any? I do not have any questions. I appreciate you putting that together and explaining that we sort of get the templates to pull from and decide like which one fits ours the best. That's interesting bit of information to know. I think that's it.
Yeah, no real questions either. It's good to know that we already kind of had policies around cell phone usage before this was introduced, so that's good that we were ahead of that. So yeah.
Anything, Frankie?
Like, will we get like a report of these, like when they're finalized?
Yes. So in the student handbook, these are linked into the student handbook. And if you go into the diligent report docs tonight, you'll be able to see them there as well. So yes.
I guess the only question I have is, how does this work with like headphones, AirPods? Because that's like, I think that's a little different. So I just wanted clarification.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Kyra. I appreciate it. That's also included within there, meaning your headphones should be away during instruction time, but you should be able to use those during passing times and during lunch at the high school. Thanks for asking.
No questions, thank you. I just have like a quick little like clarification. So I know next year, at least like in like newsletters and stuff, Wes said that they were gonna be banning like all personal devices. Is that like included in this, or is that like something separate that they're doing?
So there's a list of devices that would be included, and it's a little more general. It's a two-way communication device. Do you have an example of something you might be worried about that you might be?
Well, I mean, I know a lot of students like me, like use MacBooks at school. So like, I know that isn't gonna be allowed at West next year. So is that like a separate sort of thing that we're doing?
So it's always been our policy that we don't bring in personal devices, but yet we haven't necessarily held to that. And so I do think there will be a firmer enforcement of that next year.
Okay, yeah.
I don't have any questions. I am full support of this. I do want to say I appreciate how many legal hands have touched this and that it was something that was vetted, especially because it's coming through as a legal mandate to make sure that we are fully in compliance with that. As someone who likes to be in full compliance, I appreciate that. So thank you.
Diana?
Yeah, I think my main reflection on this is how nice it was to the way it ended on the agenda to have, it is in consent, but also to leave space here in the superintendent report so that it didn't end up getting, like pulled out of consent and put into board action just because people wanted to discuss it. So I do think it's valid that people have some questions around this, just because everyone is very attached to their devices these days. So I just appreciate the way that this was agenda to leave room for some discussion without needing to play with our agenda the way that we have with some other items lately. I think that was really well done.
Thank you. And I don't have questions either, so thank you for that thoughtful approach. Yeah, let's see. 303 is the first draft of the 2026-2027 budget.
Hi, everybody. So the first draft of the 26-27 budget was included in the packet as well as a screencast from Matt Clark, Director of Business and Finance. Matt is at home. He started his paternity leave today, so he's home with his wife and newborn, who was born over the weekend. So he's not going to be here tonight, but I'm happy to answer questions or take any notes to inform our preparation for the August, I'm off a month, the late July budget hearing. So that'll be off for about 2 weeks, but we will have a couple weeks for him to be able to work with me on the budget hearing preparation, which will happen at the last meeting in July. So again, this is just another budget update. We're not going to do a live presentation because there will be a live presentation at the end of July. But happy to take any questions or comments that would inform that presentation in about a month.
Isaac, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, first off, I guess congratulations to Matt, and hope he's having a great time changing diapers and all that. I guess one of the biggest concerns that I had was just about the news with the federal funding shortfall, especially for like Title I schools, and especially given the conversations that we've had recently around our Title I schools. Any further reductions in staff due to funding cuts would be probably very bad at this time. So I'm curious if you've already started any discussions about any potential solutions, or what kinds of discussions have been going on with that, or if any.
Well, certainly it's something we've discussed once we found out about it. There are no easy solutions, right? So certainly we've discussed it. We decided as a senior leader budget team that we needed to hold status quo on that, because we've heard the community and the board in previous meetings stress the importance of staffing at our Title I schools. So the typical process would be, when we receive word that funding is going to be cut, the typical process would be to adjust staffing and expenditures to match whatever we're actually getting. We heard that likely wouldn't be supported and that wouldn't necessarily be good for our schools. And so we figured out a way to balance the budget by using Fund $10 to ensure that we're remaining whole. But that's really only a one-year solution, right? That's not a forever solution, because we're essentially creating ongoing costs without creating ongoing money. And so that can get us through a year. We do have funding available through the referendum and/or a budget reallocation process, which could be done over the next 12 months to determine, changing how we're spending money in one area to support these positions moving forward. But that will have to be a broader, longer-term discussion with the folks who'll be making those decisions at the table. And so we didn't want to make changes, dramatic changes, knowing that there would be different players involved. So our like pause or our status quo solution is the best thing we could do for this coming year. And that was able to work with what we have coming in to present a balanced budget despite that funding shortfall.
Gotcha, thank you very much, yeah, appreciate that. My only other question was on the $2 million in like approximately in projected major expenses. I know 2 of them were for curriculum materials, I think elementary math and the science, 6 through 8 science. Those are both listed as 8-year adoptions, but does that mean it's like a one-time purchase for this budget? It's like, okay, yeah, just want to clarify.
Yeah, and everything that's on that slide is budgeted for. It's not a surprise expense, but as you know, in OE 6, we call out those expenditures that are more than $250,000, and so these are planned expenses that are budgeted for, but we're just naming them in particular because they fall above that $250,000 threshold.
Thank you.
Nick, I don't want to put you on the spot, but there's some complex things versus supplant versus supplement and also maintenance of effort that go into federal funding. I don't know if you just want to speak to that because it's the solution isn't just a one-year solution. There's just other implications because of federal rules that have consequences for subsequent years.
Right.
So some of these are sort of complicated concepts that the board should know about.
Yeah, there are definitely whole conference sessions on these topics, so I'm gonna distill it down. Brad's right, there are core considerations that will have to be factored into the discussion. So when we talk about federal grant funding, particularly Title I, the funds are designed to enhance programming and support at Title I schools, not designed to say, well, since we're getting this money from the federal government, now we can pay for stuff we already plan to do with that. It's really designed to add enhancements to those title schools based on need. And so there are rules around transferring costs from federal grants to general fund and then back again. That's not really allowed. And so there will have to be some longer term discussions. Although right now, I'm not seeing that there's going to be an increase in title funding anytime soon, right? So I don't think we're likely to experience an increase in what we're getting through Title I next year or the year after. So this is going to be a longer term solution needed that will have to include discussion around supplementing or supplanting these costs. The second piece around maintenance of effort is primarily tied to Fund 27 special education around ensuring that we're not spending less next year on serving our students with disabilities than we are spending this year. And so you can't, the maintenance of effort, there's a complex formula that goes around it, but it's essentially designed to ensure that schools don't balance the budget on the backs of students with disabilities by cutting funding and spending for students with disabilities. And so there's also that will, any realignment or reallocation of funds will have to be conscious of anything coming out of Fund 27 to serve students with disabilities. Thanks, Ryan.
I don't have any questions, but I'm hoping that you can ask Matt in for yourself. When we do the public hearing, I would love to see a little bit more particular information about the impact of the vouchers and independent charters on the budget, because I know that that's growing every year for us, and I think it's good for the taxpayers to know what their money is going to that as well.
Sounds good.
My questions were mostly around the federal funding shortfall. So I just want to say I appreciate the thought that you put into hearing, concerns around any staffing shortages there. So I appreciate you and Matt and the team for holding us steady for another year, and we'll have to think about moving forward.
Just like Amanda and everyone else, most of my questions were around the Title I for funding. I guess, one solution is to encourage people to reach out to their federal legislatures and encourage them to start helping out and voting for money to help out with this stuff, because it's, I do appreciate you guys, looking for Band-Aid. I know we had a lot of things come in when we talked about potential staffing issues, a lot of concerns, and I think a lot of us brought up too, and there was one who reached out and said, well, we passed this referendum money to help our teachers. Why are we now looking at potentially reducing staff? Or, so I think, we've got this referendum, committees in charge coming up. I would really encourage a lot of people to get involved. We are looking for people to participate in that, so we can have voices heard as to where we're going to finish using the rest of that referendum money. And people, this may be a reality that if we have enough voices that where some of that money gets allocated, but in order for that to happen, we need people on the referendum committee and the referendum groups and working with the committee of the district committees to help decide where that funding is going to be, because right now we're not getting a lot of help at the federal level. And if you're listening to the news, there's been even more shifting and changing even this last week. And it's someone who works in education, it's scary. So that's my 2 cents.
There's certainly advocacy at the state and federal level for legislation and continued funding is always desirable. And then we do have, just as a reminder of what Colleen's talking about, out of the $4 million from the 2024 operating referendum, there is about $3.3 million left to allocate for educational programming that hasn't been earmarked yet. And so that is phasing in over the years of the referendum. It's not all available right now or this coming year, but eventually there will be about $3.3 million towards those 3 referendum committees, which we talked about, redefining the junior and senior year, responding to our changing demographics, and early learning as our 3 focus areas.
Preempted the thing I was going to ask. That was a question I had. Again, congrats to Matt, and thank you for the presentation. Do we have any kind of time? I know this is board work and we have to get the referendum groups underway, but is there any kind of timing on the money? Like, it's just sitting for now until the board has decided, or that we've put together the groups and we're starting to figure out what we want to do with it? It's just sitting for now?
So the money is phased in, so not all of it is available right now. So we had a phase in for all 3 areas of the referendum. So one area was to address the structural budget deficit due to lack of support from the state. And so that money tiers in over the 4 to 5 years. We had money for teacher staff compensation and benefits. That's tiering in at $3 million initially for teachers, and then another $1 million per year during the course of the referendum phase-in. And then we had the funds for expanding educational programming, and that was tiering in just $1 million at the time. And so not all of that is available right now. We've spent about $600,000, I believe, on the things that have gone through the board budget process so far. And there's 600 to 700,000, and then there's about 3.3 million left that will be fully available, I think, in 29 or 30. I have to go look back at my dates to remember year 1, year 2, year 3.
And then I saw there was a mention of, I think it was like half a dozen or so FTE reductions that were based on attrition, I think.
Yes.
Do we know where those are out of right now?
We could put together a list of exactly what positions they are, but they're largely, they did come from the elementary level due to the decrease in enrollment.
Thank you.
Diana?
Yeah, thanks. I think everyone asked really good questions about the money. It's itself. So I think the main thing left on my list was to think about the communication with our community in this area. Just especially, I mean, congratulations to Matt and congratulations to everyone on all their positions that they're moving towards. But I'm just thinking about, you know, if our director of business and finance is maybe out during some of these critical times of like a budget hearing, and then we have, you know, Carrie transitioning in terms of our communication department, how are we making sure that in this handover, which I know we're doing with a lot of care, that we figure out how to make sure that that public hearing gets advertised really well, so that there aren't any surprises for our community on the annual meeting itself. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts to share on that.
I'm not sure if that was a question for me or for the board. So other board members, or were you looking for a response from the administration?
Oh, I guess, yeah, from administration, I mean, because it's board members, obviously, we're gonna try and help get the word out as much as possible, but do we have a, you know, district level systemic communication plan in place for how we're gonna make sure we advertise the public hearing that's coming up and any important topics that are gonna be placed on it, maybe some flood loading of that information in as many venues as possible so that people know, you know, okay, I'm interested in that, I should come to the public hearing and share my opinion, or?
So I know that the director of communications in their communications calendar had, that communications calendar included the advertising for those budgetary meetings. And so we still have that in place. And so once Dr. Reed appoints the new director of communications and engagement, they'll be able to access that calendar. What they do with it at that point will be up to that new employee, but that is in place right now, and that file does exist from when Patty had developed it.
So just make sure that we're all clear, is there any communication going out yet? Because if we wait until, you know, let's say July 1 and we're onboarding someone new and they're trying to read all their materials and then they try and get something out even mid-July, we're going to be pushing the date of the public hearing. So is there any communication going out, right, you know, front loading to make sure that community members can have time to absorb the information and have time to get it on their calendars and for it if they want to attend? I just know in the past attendance has been low and then interest has been high, so somehow we're trying to figure out how to bridge so that the people who aren't interested can become aware of the process early enough to really have their voices heard before decisions are solidified.
Perry is here. What he'll do is he'll pull that file and then take a look at it and then follow up with the board relative to what a plan could be for communications around that before and then during the transition to the director of communications and engagement.
Perfect, thank you so much.
And I don't have any questions. I think I'd echo, yeah, hopefully we could get more community engagement, because I think last year was, Isaac, it was just you and you came and participated. Yeah, so we need some more community members to come and participate in that. So yeah, hopefully we have more participation this year. Next, we have the.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna, if you don't mind, Melissa, I was just gonna summarize. So takeaways that I'm gonna talk with Matt about incorporating into the public hearing are just making sure we're being clear around the federal funding shortfall and maybe a little more information there. Talking about, we'll obviously make sure that we keep in the information about the $250,000 expenses and just being clearer about those. Brandy brought up the impact of vouchers and independent charter school funding on our bottom line, and then the communication plan. Will obviously have to be in between now and then, but so those are the kind of takeaways that I had. So thank you for the feedback.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on to the superintendent's consent agenda, and we have 4.01 and 4.03 proposals from that. So just looking for a motion to approve the other.
I'll make a motion to approve 4.02, 4.04, 4.05, 4.06, 4.07, and 4.08.
I'll second that.
Okay, Motion by Song, second by Yulihan. And Karen, can you do a roll call, please? Okay, Davis?
Yes.
Grayson? Yes. Horton?
Yes.
McFarland?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Song?
Yes.
Willingham?
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Melissa, do you mind, since we have people here for 4.01, if these move before the rest of section 5? Do you mind?
That's what I was gonna ask. Yes, that should, yep, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do 4.01.
Okay, so 4.01 is a revision to the district policy IMDA, which is our flag and patriotic displays policy. We've been working with the group for the last year on really incorporating, honoring our Indigenous community as a part of our flag policy. So this is just part of the outcome of it. And Isaac, I don't know if you want to say anything before we invite the group forward to the podium, but we do have a couple people here from the committee to speak a little bit about the process.
Yeah, no, I think we should welcome the committee members who want to talk. They've been waiting very patiently, so I'd love to hear them speak. Thank you for being here for me.
Jenny, do you want to take the mic and start things off?
Sure.
Great, thank you so much. So you can sit at the table and use the mic, or stand at the podium and use the mic, whatever you prefer.
Okay. So we are here today to talk about the First Nations Lakes Committee that we formed earlier actually about this past fall. Started with a conversation with Dr. Rykoff last summer, and it has led into this beautiful committee, and we are working towards some positive change here in the school district. Before we begin, I was hoping that we could begin the same way that we begin each of our First Nations Lakes meetings, and that is with a land acknowledgement. And I'm hoping that we can have some participation in this. I need 7 voices from the room. If you would like to help, please raise your hand. They're all numbered, so we'll do this in numbers here. They're all in order, correct?
As we gather today, we acknowledge and offer our deep respect to the Ho-Chunk Nation and the 11 other First Nations with whom we share geography in Wisconsin.
We recognize that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and sacred homeland of the Ho-Chunk people, who have cared for and maintained a relationship with this place for thousands of years.
We honor the enduring presence and contributions of the Ho-Chunk Nation and all Indigenous peoples, past, present, and future, to this land and our shared communities.
We acknowledge the painful and lasting impacts of genocide, displacement, forced assimilation, and cultural erasure imposed upon Indigenous peoples.
This truth calls us to do more than simply recognize the past. It challenges us to actively unlearn false narratives, relearn the truths of history, and understand how these histories continue to shape the lives and experiences of Indigenous peoples and First Nations today.
We are called to engage in meaningful allyship by listening to, learning from, and amplifying Indigenous voices and leadership.
We commit ourselves to actions that honor Indigenous sovereignty, support healing and justice, and celebrate the cultures, languages, traditions, and futures of Indigenous people.
Thank you. Okay, so our work began again last fall with a conversation with Dr. Rykoff and talking about ways that we can bring forth Indigenous representation in the school district.
We offer land acknowledgement and environmental acknowledgement at the beginning of the school year at convocation. One thing that I've always heard from David O'Connor, our state DPI, American Indigenous Consultant, is that we need to, if we're going to offer land acknowledgement, we need to act. We need to do more, otherwise don't offer one. So we are looking for ways to do that, and we are an inclusive, diverse district that celebrates everybody here in this district. So we thought that it would be nice to ask our Indigenous students ways that we can continue to bring that representation to this school district. So our little bit of the history of this committee, we brought our Indigenous students together along with some community members, a member from Ho-Chunk Nation, Dr. Sung, Dr. Rykoff, Dr. Morgan, and we all talked about a few different ways we could do this, either through land acknowledgement plaques in our buildings or having the Ho-Chunk Nation flag flown on all of our flagpoles and all flags of the Wisconsin First Nations in our 3 high schools. And the students chose to have the flag, the Ho-Chunk flag, on the flagpoles and in our high schools. So what I would like to do is ask the members of the committee that are here to come up, introduce themselves. And for those who aren't here, I'll go ahead and introduce them after. So if you would like to come on up, Grace, come on up, Mazi, Kimberly, don't be shy. Come on up. Hadley, you can join us also. What's that? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Maziar Gill. I am a recent graduate of Sun Prairie East High School. I am wearing my stole for the club that I helped found, which is the United Indigenous Student Union. I had the pleasure of working with Miss Jenny King as well as Dr. Isaacson and Nick Rykoff. We've spoken briefly on this project, and I am so pleased to see where it is today and so excited to see where it will be later in the fall. Thank you.
Hello, Donjo She'e Grace, that is my name. That's how I say hello in my native language. I am Hickory Apache, and I moved from New Mexico about 2.5 years ago, which, if you'll note, it's a place with a lot of indigenous and native culture just incorporated in everything. And having moved here, I just want to say that all of this, the club that we founded, working with Jenny King, and everything we're doing here means a lot to see that representation brought to some place where, like Wisconsin, where there are so many native tribes, but just not as much acknowledgement in everyday life. Thank you.
Hello, also my name is Kimberly. I am a freshman at Sun Prairie East, and I am a member of the United Indigenous Student Union. I am from the Menominee and Mohican tribe, and yeah, I'm very happy with how we've come with our flags.
Go for it. Okay, so the members of our committee that are not here tonight are Amanda Shaker. She's an enrolled member of Ho-Chunk Nation, parent of students in the children in the district, I'm sorry, community member, and she's the president of the Indigenous Parent Council for Title VI. President Hannah Gill is the president at UISU Club, and she is a member of the Lakota Ray First Nation. Ms. Maddie Racine Lehner is an ally and is a member of the United Indigenous Student Union.
Sky Baca is a member of the United Indigenous Student Union and member of the, can you please say the name of your First Nation again?
Hickory Apache.
And let's see here, Dr. Rykoff is here. Jamie Racine is also a member of our committee and has been amazing with helping us with this initiative. And Carrie Holzman is affiliation with Menominee Nation. She is a parent, a teacher, and a community member, and an Indigenous Parent Council board member as well. And we have some future United Indigenous Student Union members as well. Hadley Ryder, Menominee and Stockbridge Munsee Nation, and then Sadie Holzman and Macy Holzman. And they have also attended our meetings, and they are looking forward to starting an Indigenous Student Union at Central Heights next year. So thank you for all the work, Dr. Rykoff and Dr. Morgan and Dr. Sun. This has been amazing, and we are looking forward to seeing those flags up in our district next year and in our high schools. Looking forward to celebrating that through some flag ceremonies. Thank you.
So in terms of board action, what's actually before the board tonight is a very slight change to our district policy IMDA. We're working, as Jenny mentioned, on a plan to provide like a ceremonial flag raising during convocation in August, and an opportunity for schools to engage in a flag raising commemoration ceremony at their schools when the flags get raised for the first time. But what's really before the board tonight is that policy change that would allow or direct that the Ho-Chunk Nation flag, because that is the First Nation on whose land we reside and our district is a part of, would be raised on our flagpoles. And so that's the proposal that's formally before the board tonight, and that we're looking for the board to weigh in on. Isaac, anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I think you covered it. Thanks. I guess if you're ready, then I can make the motion to thanks. How do you say this? Yeah, I guess to approve the revisions to district policy IMDA patriotic and flag display as presented.
Second. Motion by Sun, second by Stephen. Or does anybody have questions?
I would like to thank everybody who came to speak tonight. Thank you, kids, for coming up. It takes a lot of guts to get up and speak in front of a room full of adults, so that was pretty awesome. Hearing all of your backgrounds, where you're from, your tribal affiliations, even hearing different languages, that was really cool. It was very impactful, so thank you for that. Oh, and welcome to Wisconsin. The winters are gonna be brutal.
Did you just want to maybe call out that there is language in the situation report, that just helps explain the rationale and the why, which we didn't spend a lot of time on tonight. I just want to make sure that people understand that that's available and has been co-created by members of the committee along with Dr. Morgan with a thought towards our equity statement and our purpose around specifically the Ho-Chunk Nation flag being flown. And then I used my own departmental funds to purchase flags. West High School had already purchased all of the First Nations flags to be in their cafeteria during Indigenous Peoples Month. But I was able to use departmental money to purchase those also for East and PPA, so that all of our high schools have the 12 First Nations of Wisconsin flags that can be displayed in each building. So just wanted to name that out loud before we move down.
I just also wanted to express gratitude. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for the work that you've done, and also the additional community members and students that you engaged along the way.
yeah, just lots of gratitude to the committee, the whole committee, to Nick for implementing it, and for Jenny King for really arranging it and gathering people. And yeah, it's a lot of great work that you guys are doing, so very much appreciate it.
I can't tell if we're doing a full circle.
Go for it, yep.
Should I? Okay, sorry, I can't read your room and I can't see. No, I just want to also express gratitude. Thank you to everyone who came to present and be present with the board tonight. And also thank you to ISAC for taking on one more thing, because I know we have a lot of meetings as board members, and this is really important. And I'm just really appreciative that we have representation at the board level, as these really important conversations are taking place to help bridge from those conversations and the work that are happening directly to the board people, so that we can better understand the policy changes that this come forward we're already in. So thank you for that.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote then. Roll call, please. Yeah.
Grayson?
Yes.
Horton? Yes. McFarland?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Sum?
Yes.
Willingham?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you so much.
It was 4.03.
4.03?
Oh, right.
Yes.
That's the one.
Did you want to? I don't know if you took a motion or anything. So I was thinking. Yeah, motion just. All right, motion to approve 4.03, district policy of artificial intelligence. Second. Motion by Stephen, second by Kinsler. Okay, and then I pulled this because just reading through the policy, there's a line that talks about the board recognizes the positive impact that artificial intelligence technology may have in district's educational program and operations. This isn't a board policy, it's a district policy. I could ask, I guess, to my knowledge, this wasn't something discussed by the board. And I assume there's probably going to be a larger conversation around the use of AI, things like Portrait of a Graduate, et cetera. And so just noting like the academic integrity and personal electronic device ones didn't have that kind of statement of the board in it. I know the one we just finished did, but Isaac was involved in that and are shaping that policy. So I had some pause in approving it with the language of the board, recognizes, et cetera, when it's not something that, unless it was discussed before I was part of the board.
If I may, I'm not totally open to the idea of changing that from the board to the district. That's a very fair point going forward. When the group started that did the original work that's now guidelines, there was at least one board member involved, but very fair to say that of the collective of the current board. So more than happy if you would like to say, maybe I'm not going to get wrong on how we do this, but perhaps to amend with the change from the board to the district recognizes, open to that feedback and have it make that change.
Okay. Yeah, that handles it for me. So I don't know if I need someone to amend my motion or if you can vote down my approval of it. And amend my own. Okay, we'll try it. I amend my motion to adjust the language from the board to the district. Oh.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. Amended, same motion by Stephen, second by Grayson. And then roll call, please. Or, thank you. Yes, are there any other comments, questions? Okay, I think we're ready then. That makes sense to me, so it feels, yeah, that feels good. So everybody will go ahead and vote, okay.
McFarland,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Willingham. Yes. Davis,
Yes.
Grayson,
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, moving right along to 5.01. Let's see, 2026, 2027 school board annual calendar. As we discussed in our governance meeting last Monday, this is just an especially penciled in draft compared to other years because we will be having our retreat with the new superintendent in July, and there will be lots of decisions made about the coming year at that time. So for now, we are primarily looking at plans just for the next few months, like until the school year starts, as this calendar is expiring. So I'm just looking for a motion in a second, and we'll open up for discussion.
I make a motion to approve this 2026-2027 school board annual calendar as presented.
Second. Motion by Sung, second by Stephen. Do you want to start? Discuss, or we may not even discuss it then.
Yeah, I don't have anything to, I just think it's always good to remind the public this is a very working calendar, that it's never truly set in stone because you just never know what's going to change on a month-to-month basis.
I'm looking around, I think we're good then. Okay, I guess we'll open the vote then. Okay, we can do all in favor on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, wonderful. Now on to 5.02, superintendent search feedback discussion. So again, this is something that we discussed at our governance meeting last week, and we decided that Bryn and Diana would work together on this. They're incorporating feedback from our community survey and observations from board members, and they will respond to HY with the feedback per their survey. So we want to thank the community for taking time to engage not only in the search process itself, but also in providing us feedback so we can improve the process for next time, however far in the future that may be. So let's see, I don't know that we need a formal vote on this. I think we just put it on here to make sure it was like out there and done. So unless anybody has something to add, we will move right along to the next item. Okay. Okay, and then 5.03 is a first reading of revisions to Governance Culture Policy 9, which is the process for addressing board member policy violations. And this policy hadn't been used in years, but now it's been used more than once this year. So it exposed some weaknesses in the policy, and we are hoping to strengthen it with guardrails to ensure that our concerns go through certain steps and procedures to increase the potential of being resolved through a more informal process before requiring formal investigation. The intention is to de-escalate situations whenever possible so that we only use district resources to formally investigate when absolutely necessary. So investigations should be a last resort, and it should be extremely rare occurrence. So we are hoping the goal of reviewing this draft tonight is to establish effective policy language that will allow us to have a more reasonable and fiscally responsible approach to addressing concerns. So can I get a motion in a second and then we'll open up a discussion about the policy language. Or I guess Isaac. Do you want to introduce this before we open up discussion?
Well, I thought you did a pretty good job of introducing it. I think the only thing I would add is that we also wanted to kind of mirror our VP 13, our board procedure for handling complaints and appeals process for other avenues of complaints. So we wanted to make sure that our complaint process against board members was reasonably mirroring that process as well. So, but otherwise, I think you hit all the major points.
Okay. So then it would be a motion and a second.
I guess I can make a motion. What would the motion be exactly? Because it's the first reading. We have to
Yeah.
bring it back some time. Okay, I'll just make a motion to approve the first reading for the revisions to GC policy 9, process for addressing board member policy matter issues.
Second.
Motion by Sun, second by Stephen. Who would like to start the discussion?
I don't have any questions or discussion really. We talked about this in one of our governance meetings. I think a lot of the changes are really good and I appreciate that there's mention of, you know, trying to work things out through conversations first before a formal, but also allowing a formal inquiry if needed. So overall, I think good changes, and thank you. Isaac and Colleen, did you also help with some of that? No, okay, thanks.
I've got 6 suggested changes for this item. In paragraph 3, we talk about if the informal resolution is deemed inappropriate. I'd like to know who's determining what appropriate means. So I guarantee you think is inappropriate, what I think is inappropriate, and what everyone else thinks is inappropriate is different. And I can see that being a point of contention given some of the issues we've had over the past year between board members. Also concerning in paragraph 3, we have that the accused member should report to the governance officer a summary of the themes. I'm not sure why we're going to the governance officer when in paragraph 2, we have them going to the board president first to file the complaint or to bring the board member or whoever is referenced next in there in line. So I think we should be consistent on that rather than throwing in an individual who may not be looped in on the concern yet in paragraph 3 and making that consistent with the paragraph before that.
Sorry, can I just reply to that one real quick?
Yeah.
I think the only reason I chose the board governance officer there, and I think this was a suggestion from Bryn, was that it's because the board governance officer's role is to work on PD and to any trainings or things that we might need to improve on as a board collective. So even if the governance officer wasn't involved at first, thought it might be a good person to direct those kinds of themes and summary reports to, so that they could then adjust for any self-evaluation or board PD work afterwards.
I guess I just don't see, given the steps that are outlined in here, the board governance officer isn't brought in quick steps. So if it's something that is finalized via informal resolution, I don't understand why the board governance officer would be brought in at that point in time. They may not be aware of what's going on. So I think we may want to look at consistency of that, or at least then bring in the board governance officer earlier in the process. So that it's not, oh, surprise, this person, now we have to loop them back in on what happened when they've not been scoped in on it up to that point.
Sure.
Yeah. In the 4th paragraph, we talk about district employees seeking an informal resolution with board members. I could see some concerns about fears of retaliation since board members are the ones who ultimately improve contacts. We need to be cautious with that if we're going to require board members or district employees to reach out to board members to talk about concerns.
It's not required.
Well, or if we even encourage, I could see that being a point of contention for a lot of district employees. I don't feel comfortable reaching out to the board member. They may withhold my contract if they don't agree with the resolution or if they disagree with my concerns. And that's a very real fear that we've had.
Yeah.
We've had schools, district staff reach out before in the past about.
Yeah, that's why we didn't make it required, so they could skip that step if necessary.
I just think we should avoid that carefully because even the way it's worded, it means that's the, kind of the preferred method. And I don't see that. I mean, and that's something we may want to run through the SPEA if we're going to make that as a preferred recommendation, because I could see them having issues with that as well. Also in the same paragraph, I wonder why we have, notice of the complaint occurring after informal resolution. It seems inconsistent with paragraph 2 and 3. If we're gonna encourage a formal complaint, where they're not gonna notify the president, but they do have to notify the president before the informal resolution, it seems kind of contradictory. So we may wanna look at that processes and the order in which we want them to go through that and make sure it's consistent throughout. Also, I have concerns under the initial review that we're limiting the person to 30 minutes. Currently, when we allow people to speak for appeals before the board, we don't limit it to 30 minutes, so I'm not sure why we would limit this to 30 minutes. And then also under the formal inquiry, under section 2 of the board action, I highlighted the constitute a policy violation or warrants an investigation. I'm not sure if the board is reviewing information and talking to people and they're determining a policy violation, why then would we go to an investigation? Because in theory, the board has already conducted an investigation. I feel like if you're gonna do an investigation and the board is determining if it's a policy violation, the board is making a policy violation determination based on evidence produced to them, which is part of the investigation process. So that seems kind of backwards. And I think that's all I had so far.
Kind of echoing what Amanda said, appreciate the work that's gone into this in establishing some guardrails around this, and know that this is the first reading, so we have space for more adjustments. One of the things, talking about making it mirror some of our other similar district policies, wonder if we want to consider setting a timeline for when a complaint can be submitted after it happened, so that I know some of our policies, it feels short. It's like you just submit it within so long after it happened. Right now, I think we have it open-ended. I don't really have any sort of formal timeline of within 30 days, 60 days, 120, whatever we think is appropriate, but probably putting some kind of guardrail on that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Do other people have an idea or consensus of how long that time limit should be, or should it just mirror what's currently in some of the other policies?
It originally didn't Melissa say that this was drafted to be more in line with our policies on complaint filing, so I think we should probably mirror that and be consistent.
Yep.
And if we feel like those timelines are too tight, then we should look at expanding them across the board for all of our policies, which has been something we've had people talk to us about.
So maybe
I think one trick in mirroring other policies, just to jump in, is that I think a couple of different administrative policies that funnel up into the EP 13 have different timelines than each other. And part of that is based on, I think, sometimes the statutory requirement, but sometimes not. So we may not be able to find a perfect match, but we could try to find, a similar or reasonable, reasonably aligned timeline.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Diana, it's up to you if you have other thoughts.
Oh, I trust you all on this one. I think we've talked about it a lot. I think my main thought process is no matter how we write this, there will likely still be some situation that comes up that we did not predict the complexity of. But I just really appreciate the time and effort that Isaac has put in to making improvements. And I think that anything that we do based on what we've learned in the last year to kind of close some of the loopholes that we've identified is going to be a good thing. Even understanding that we may still not have perfection at the end of the process, we will continue to learn more moving forward.
The only thing I would say is I agree with Colleen in the how do we determine, there might need to be a little bit more detail in that no further action Do we talk about it in closed session? Is there, because yeah, I mean, if we're determining there's no policy violation, or we do think there's a policy violation, then what does the investigatory process then look like if we've already made some of those determinations? So it just might be worth more, and I don't have any suggestions on what that would be, so I'm sorry, I'm not very helpful on that, but it does feel a little like maybe just some more detail.
Yeah, are you talking about like number 2, the formal inquiry part?
No, I'm
Or
talking
the-
about that if we decide no further action.
Oh,
So if we do following initial appeal, number 1 is no further action. If the board determines the reported conduct in the complaint is not, like maybe just a little bit more like fleshing out of what that process would look like.
gotcha. Yeah. Let's see. I'll ask Shayna on that. When I asked Shayna about it, I think about the open versus closed session thing, she said it's better to not put that in there because there will be times where you might want to hold something in open session. I forgot the example she gave, but basically there's some example of like, if you're not legally required to, or anyone can always choose to have something in open session, even if it's like, you know, negative on them and we could hold it in closed session. So if you put into policy that it has to be in closed session, then that could take away their right to like a public hearing type of situation. So that's why she recommended not having language about that initially, because I did ask her about that initially. I think that was one of Colleen's points that she raised. So if I ask her about that, she might say that again, about don't go into too much detail about exactly how the sessions should be run.
And I can see the like niceness of having it open. It just feels like, how do we determine whether it's a policy violation or not? And then what's the point of sending it to an investigator if we've already said it's a policy violation?
Yeah, I think the difference is for number 2, formal inquiry is like, you determine that the reported conduct in the complaint, if true, would constitute a policy violation. I think the step there is we don't actually determine if that's true or not. And the investigator would go through fact finding to figure out if the reported misconduct was true. I think the difference there is more like we're kind of acting as gatekeepers for like either frivolous or petty or small minor things that even if it were true, we would be like, I don't think that would actually be a policy violation or a big enough violation for us to like go through the steps of hiring an investigator. So I think that's kind of the difference between the two, at least how I saw it. Hopefully that makes sense.
I was just gonna say, I think maybe we should change that wording then to say what you just said, Isaac, about if true.
It is in there.
It's not under 1.1.
Oh.
Sorry, 1. No
Yeah.
further action. If the board
Gotcha.
determines the reported conduct in the complaint does not constitute, because that does make it seem like we're
Right, we're
determining.
determining that. I guess the or lacks sufficient basis to proceed. Usually kind of open, but yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So if we have some modifications, do we not approve the first reading? Correct.
The only thing I'm saying is that it seems like there's a lot of suggestions from board members for improvements, and so you're probably gonna wanna look at a clean draft of everything. If it was some minor level, modifications like we did with, board and district, I think you could go through an amendment to the motion, but in this case, there's some substance there that if the board's gonna wanna see another fresh draft.
So should we maybe come to consensus on exactly what those change? So it was that change to
Isaac, I sent you guys exchanges.
Did the full board agree that all 6 of those were, like, is everybody okay with those 6, whatever they were? Or do we need to like have a discussion about that, or are we just going with it?
I think we need some drafts to look at it all and see how the language is reincorporated.
Okay. Well, we're getting close, and this will be a vast improvement over what we have. So thank you for all your hard work on this, and we will come back to it. Okay.
There's a motion open.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so. Okay. Okay. We're voting on the current one, which was to approve it. Okay. Got it. Okay, Sung?
No.
Willingham?
No.
Davis?
No.
Grayson?
No.
Horton? No. McFarland?
No.
Stephen?
No.
Motion does not carry.
Okay.
Now I gotta get back to where we are.
I can make a motion to approve the board consent agenda 6.01 and 6.02.
I'll second that.
Motion by Horton, second by Willingham. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Wonderful. Now we're on to 7.01 community connections. So district and community updates. I would say we'll start with, how about our district updates? We do have some administrators leaving up. So any recognition of anybody who'd like to say some things about the friends we're saying to tonight? You're welcome to. And then we can also do community updates too.
Well, yes, so, I know I will keep this short because thank you. Nick, I don't actually know if this is your actual last meeting or if you're coming to another one in July, but
It's unclear.
it's unclear. Okay, so I will say thank you. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to Scott for everything that you have done over the years that you have been here. I know I appreciate it greatly and everything that you have done, and I wish you the best on your next steps. And hopefully we'll keep in touch and see you in various places. So, and Barb, thank you as well. And Teresa, sorry you're still back there too. Thank you, Teresa, and Perry. Thank you for stepping in and holding down the fort for all of us. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I add to that? In the education field, having somebody in the same position in the same district for a period of time is becoming almost unheard of. So it's really impressive that we've had as many people in this room in our district and helping kids and teachers and community members for as long as they have been doing. I think that's an impressive thing to recognize, that not just the talent that we have in this room, but the longevity and the years of dedication for that is pretty impressive.
I'll also just say thank you for your guidance, leadership, everything that you 3 have done for the district, but also you guys, and also, like, we have a lot of staff that I know that we had a retirement ceremony for them, but we have a lot of great staff that are not here tonight and also retired, and so our district wouldn't be what it is without you guys, and you guys have committed a lot of your time and have done a lot of great work for us, so thank you.
I was just gonna echo the shout out to Perry. Thank you for stepping in at a moment when you did, and appreciate the perspective you brought, and really appreciate some of the foundation that you have laid for the person who has some big shoes to fill in terms of the engagement you started and the communication has been really incredible. And I hope that whoever steps into those shoes will pick it right up and continue. So enjoy your second retirement. If the school district comes calling again, you are busy. You're out doing your book stuff and visiting your kids all over the place. So thank you.
I think nothing else to add. I'd like to echo what everyone just said. Thank you to all your years of service and for everything you've done.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been fun. Okay, we'll keep it going. So we're out of here at a pretty good time tonight, I think, actually. Okay, so let's see. 7.02 legislative updates. Brandon, Selena.
I think obviously we touched on the federal stuff. I think that's the main thing right now. I know Kalina and I are gonna try to find a time to meet. Probably review the legislative advocacy plan that we have, because it's been several years since we've done that, and I think it definitely needs some updates. I have talked to Representative Heisel about coming in for summer school, because he's never been into the schools for summer school, so I think we're gonna try to plan a time for that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, because I think I'll ask for it to come to an agenda item here eventually, is the voucher transparency tax bill work. We don't have to do very much because city council has to pass a resolution in order for that, but it's better if the board also passes a resolution asking for city council to do that. And then I think the hope is that we will get a big enough group that we can go to the county and have the county take care of that, so that like some of our, I mean, for us, right, like asking town of Sun Prairie and town of Bristol and town of Burke and Madison is a part of it, right? Like asking all those smaller municipalities, it would be a lot of work. So if we can get the county to do it as a big whole, but that work has to happen this summer because there's deadlines for when tax bill stuff has to be a part of it. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get something on our agenda sometime in July and August so that we can ask city council to also pass a resolution.
Student school number updates.
Yeah, it's like the second week of summer. I just came back from Baton Boys State. It's like a government program, so I got to learn all about like the procedures, like especially that we have here. So that was really fun.
I don't really have any. I just know that a lot of like fall sports are starting to practice now, so that's been fun to start practice again for in the summer, something to do. Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
This Saturday, the Sun Prairie West FDLA team is going to be going to San Antonio for nationals, which is exciting. So Sun Prairie is going to be seen on a national level, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
So we can also add into that Wednesdays before school starts. So if anyone didn't realize, and I was an idiot, made a mistake, it didn't start today. So don't take your kids to school today, don't take them to school tomorrow. Fine, we're not happy with me, I didn't read. Yes, it starts Wednesday. And yes, we can all, yes, that was a case for Mondays. No, we walked to school. We were dressed, we had schedules printed, breakfast, we walked there, and I was like,
And actually, I guess 2 updates were over the weekend. We had the Juneteenth celebration was on Friday, and Kalina and I were there at that. Dr. Turner, we saw you there. It was a great event. We were serving food, and
as I say, I chatted with LaToya very briefly. We discussed the idea of it being a board building activity for us to try to run one of those food lines and see which splits into groups, or do it as a group against like city council and see who could push people through faster, because you had to be on your toes on the communication on that.
And then on Saturday, then we had Race Through the Prairie, which was Fasco's inaugural event, and it was. I was in the high school with some of the families, like helping with that area, and then you were out.
I was at the library. They had a team building activity that had to, another great option for us, take a box of supplies and build a freestanding structure that was at least 3 inches tall and could hold a golf ball for 10 seconds. And there were some strained relationships by the time we got done. And the fastest time was 46 seconds. And the longest was 16 minutes. So there were some who got it and some who did not. And like sitting there quietly while I did suggest, I was like, let's have music next year in there because it gets real quiet when it's not clicking. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of families came through with their kids, and community schools had a team, which was really fun to see. Yep, they came through, and excited to see where that goes next year. And then County and Isaac, you guys will be more involved with that. So it's a really great group of people.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend with those two events, and then now this coming weekend is Pride Fest. So that's at Sun Prairie West from 12 to 4, I think. So hope to see you all there. And then I guess we're on to the board debrief.
The last board meeting apparently went really well. There were only 4 respondents, so I think this was one of those where it finished before the link email even went out. So that was how quickly it went, which was, positive for everyone, but it meant fewer people responded. So hopefully this meeting will have more responses. I think congrats to Melissa for doing last time's meeting very well as well. That was recorded. There's one comment for room for improvement, which I think Dr. Reed might actually already be discussing, is like for like larger plans and presentations, like the 10-year maintenance improvement plan or whatever else is more complex, we would have a little bit more time to like digest the information before the actual board meeting. That was kind of suggested by someone. I think that would be a good idea, even if it was just like, a few days or a week further in advance. That would make a big difference, I think, for people. But yeah, overall, it was a great meeting last time. We'll see what the board debrief says for next time. So hopefully you guys have a chance to fill it out, and if not, please fill out the survey before the next meeting. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Summer, second by Stephen. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.